Well, welcome back to Harmonize Your Life, Conversations on Self-Care for Women of Color podcast with your host, Dr. Tony G. Alvarado. I am so excited to welcome you back for another month of podcast conversations. Can you believe we are at the month of November? Yes, we are in the month of November and we are in season 14 of this podcast. We have been doing these podcast conversations since 2020. We've run 13 seasons and now we are in season 14. Actually, this is episode 3 of season 14 of our podcast conversations. I'm so excited and delighted to have you here with me this month, because this month I will be talking about intentional self-care, but I'm going to be talking to 2 women who have been a part of the Harmonize Your Life intentional self-care program, of which we began on last year, where we took a cohort of women through 12 months of intentional self-care, focusing on themselves, working on their goals for fitness, health, wellness, boundaries, all things self-care. And so we ran a cohort last year, and we're now completing the second year, or the second cohort of this program. And at the end of the year, I always like to have conversations with the women who have gone through the program, so that you can hear about the program and how it has been a blessing to the lives of the women who have matriculated through the program. So I'm excited today to have one of our intentional self-care 2024 cohort members that will be in the studio with us today. And we're just going to be talking about her journey through this year of intentional self-care. And hopefully you will hear something that will help you in your journey. And possibly you may want to join us for the cohort 2025. Okay. All right. So we'll be right back with our next guest right after this. Well, Desiree, it is good to have you in the podcast studio with me.
It is good to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Good. I want to introduce you to our podcast community. Excuse me, I drank some water a minute ago as we were doing our intro, and it went down the wrong pipe. So I'm gonna try to get this done without choking. Okay.
Take another sip.
Girl, you know. Anyway, Desireé Young, who is a part of the Harmonize Your Life Women's Self-Care Network. And she is a regular listener to the podcast. Yes. But this time she is actually going to be my dialogue partner for this episode of the podcast. And I'm so excited to have Desiree with us today. Desireé Young is is a licensed minister and an ordained elder who serves at Victory Worship Center in Stonecrest, Georgia. Under the leadership of Pastor Tony Roberts, Desiree accepted the Lord's call to ministry in 2003. She serves as pastor-elect of Christian education and executive administrator to Pastor Roberts. Desiree is a visionary thought leader and a transformative force within ministry and community leadership. Listen, let me tell you, this girl, I'm telling you, she loves ministry and she is a supporter. I mean, she is a supporter of ministry, and I appreciate that about her. Her influence extends into her work with women's empowerment. As the visionary behind the signature conference, Women's Conference Emerge, she has created spaces where women can connect, grow, cultivate their inner strength, and live with with authenticity and intention. Her unique ability to see the potential in others and guide them toward breakthroughs has made her a sought-after speaker, mentor, and leader in faith communities and beyond. She is a catalyst for change. She is dedicated to fostering environments of connection, growth, and victory. Desiree is a certified Christian life coach and chief pioneer of Purpose Pioneer Coaching LLC, where she is very, very passionate about serving women of faith by helping them to discover and develop their personal and spiritual identity. In addition, she is the author of I Am Commanding Your Day with Affirmative Daily Affirmations, a 90-day guide or journal that was created to help women speak or people speak positive words and statements over themselves. She is expected to release another guided prayer journal, Image Bearer, and I Am My Priority, taking care of me from the inside out.
Yes.
In the fall. Desiree has obtained an associate degree in business administration from the University of District of Columbia and a Bachelor of Arts degree in biblical education and leadership administration from Beulah Heights University here in Atlanta. She holds various leadership certificates and will soon pursue her Master of Divinity. She's married now of 23 years to Timothy Young Sr., and they have 4 adult children, Timothy Jr., Nadraya, Amir, Maya, and 8 beautiful grandchildren. In her downtime, Desiree loves to read, write, and sky gaze. I love that. And hang out in parks, especially where there is water. All right. Welcome, Desiree.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited. I mean, you are so plugged into the self-care network. I mean, you are a part of you joined the self-care network in 2020 when I started.
Yeah.
And so you're a regular in Tea Time with Dr. Tony. We do that once a month. You attended the retreat this year and going to be attending the retreat in January 2025 in Costa Rica. So you've done the retreats and you're a regular listener and supporter of the podcast. And now you've done the intentional self-care program. And we started in January and here we are in November and
I can't believe it.
Going strong. Look at that.
I can't believe it's November already.
Yes.
November.
It is. It is. And where does the time go? It doesn't wait on us, does it?
No, ma'am. Not at all. That's why we gotta get it in and do what we need to do when we need to do it.
Not at all. So Desiree, talk to us and share with the podcast community why you, what led you into this journey of intentional self-care?
Wow, it's so many reasons, but I'll start with the main reason is that I needed a lifestyle change. I felt myself spiraling in a way where my energy was depleted. I was very achy, and I had issues with my weight up and down. So I heard about your intentional self-care. I heard the testimonies of other women. I trust you. So I knew I needed some hands-on guidance, if you will, to help me through this journey, to help me with the goals that I had in mind, with weight loss being my priority. And that is the main reason that I've joined this particular cohort at this particular season in my life. It was either now or never. And I'm so glad that I did at this time because, you know, everything is about seasons. Mm-hmm. And so this was my season. I actually started a journey of self-care when I turned 50. So that was around 2000. Oh, my goodness. How old am I now? That was 8 years ago, 2016. So I started making myself my priority. So with life and ebbs and flows, sometimes I did not intentionally take care of myself. Mm-hmm. But this program kind of nudged me. Well, it did nudge me to say, you know what? It's never too late. You can always start over and you can start again. Mm-hmm. So here I am.
So what would you say because you were already a part of the Harmonize Your Life Self-Care Network. You were, I mean, you listen to the podcast regularly, but you're a regular in Tea Time when we have our monthly support group meetings with Tea Time with Dr. Tony. And for those of you that are listening or don't know what we're talking about, Tea Time with Dr. Tony is a monthly meeting that we have with the women in the Self-Care Network. And we do those on the fourth Sunday evening. We found that Sunday evening was a better time. We were trying to do, during the pandemic, we were doing it on Saturday mornings when everybody was sheltered in. But when the world opened back up, Saturdays, you know, we back out there now. So, yeah. But we find that that Sunday evening, right at the end of the month, people are generally, you know, settled in from all their ripping and running for the month. And we found that to be a more feasible or consistent model for doing Tea Time. And so you do Tea Time. You're a regular in Tea Time. I mean, you come all the time. You've attended the retreats. You listen to the podcast regularly. So why go the step further to actually be a part of the program and the cohort where you know what I'm saying?
Yes. I want to say that for a higher level of accountability, that I needed to be with other women while even during those times, the once a month, listening to the podcast, I was tuned in, plugged in. But I also think that being with a group of women who aspire the same things or want to achieve the same goal, and just, again, a level of accountability, hearing other people's stories, their journey and what their goals were, I think is what is helpful in this cohort, because it makes you realize that you're not alone in this journey. So always, you know, we do think that we are better together. Let me say it that way. Yeah. So when we get together with other people who are like-minded and are trying to achieve the same goal, it helps us and it encourages us. It kind of champions us to do what it is and stay committed to the things that we said we wanted to do.
So that another level of accountability,
absolutely,
is really important for you. And you know, this past Tea Time that we had in October, we talked about
imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome, yeah. Yes. We talked about that, and one of the things and one of the ways imposter syndrome shows up. You brought out a point about the soloist. Yes. And about going it alone, and you used to doing everything by yourself, right?
Yes.
So would you say doing self-care by yourself? Would you prefer to do self-care by yourself, or after going through the program, how would you juxtapose that with doing self-care with others?
Again, I just feel like for me, it's inspiring to do it with others. It's, again, another level of accountability, because if I say I'm going to do something, then I have my sister who's going to check in on me and say, hey, Desiree, how you doing? Did you get that done? And my answer wants to be yes, that I did do what I wanted to do. And I just, sometimes when we're alone, we don't have the motivation, if you will, the motivation to do what we say we're going to do. I'll tell you, there's been many times when my alarm goes off for me to do certain things, because I set all these different timers, and I'll hear it and I'll just hit snooze and forget about it. Not that I intentionally want to not do what I want to do, but I'm busy, just the vicissitudes of life sometimes. So the cohort helps challenge me to be intentional. Yes, exactly what it says, to be intentional, and it challenges me to be consistent.
Yeah, that was the word I was hearing. Consistent, intentional, and they go together.
They do.
Right. Absolutely. So intentionality helps us to be consistent, right?
Yes.
Consistency helps us to be intentional.
Exactly.
So it's like a cycle, you know, it feeds into each other. It's a cycle. As I'm intentional, I'm consistent. And as I'm consistent, I'm being intentional
Absolutely.
about it. And I like what you said, because we can talk ourselves out of it.
Absolutely.
When I know I got I got to meet with my coach and we're going to talk about my progress, or I'm going to the group setting and I don't want to be the odd woman out that it, you know, and not that we have, because, you know, there are times when we don't get it done, right?
Right, exactly.
So this is it's always a judgment-free zone. It's not you're in trouble if you don't get it done, but it is a sense of accountability, and it's a sense of support and encouragement. SEA is what we call it in coaching: support, encouragement, and accountability, which we all need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's interesting that you said that again, because we had a conversation about validation as well. And we were, you know, and you said something that kind of clicked with me, that we all, because we're humans, we need validation. Not that because we're lacking anything, but because it is just a natural human touch. You know, we want to know that we're doing okay.
Yeah.
And hear that from others, people to cheer us on. So that's another thing that the cohort does. It's a process where one of us, or, you know, the group of women that we're part of, that we will cheer each other on and encourage each other to let us know that, hey, you know, maybe you missed something this time, but that's okay. Keep on going, keep moving. And so I love that about that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you shared you shared about your weight loss. Were there any other goals that you had in coming into the program?
Yes. To develop more energy, I was really feeling sluggish, fatigue, and just because I wasn't taking care of myself properly. Let me say that. I thought I was. I wasn't getting the proper rest. Some of my other goals was to be able to intentionally set boundaries so that I can take care of myself. Again, I started in a season where I became my priority. I decided that I am my priority. And a lot of this, this whole intentional self-care process, it takes making a decision about who you are, how important you are to yourself. And I felt I loved myself enough to make myself my priority without feeling that I was being selfish. Because a lot of times we self-neglect ourselves because we think that we're being selfish and not always available for everyone else. But if we're available for everybody else all the time, or let me say it like this: if we're saying yes to everyone else all the time, that means we're telling ourselves no in some area. And I had to make a decision that I was going to say yes to me.
Say yes to me, right? Yeah. And I remember in one of our sessions we talked about the whole boundary piece. You were, like a lot of us, supporting adult children and grandchildren. And I remember we had that hard conversation, and you had to find the courage, the strength to put some boundaries around those relationships. Not that you didn't love your children, particularly your son, I think it was, and your grandchildren, and you had to find the courage to put some boundaries there. So can you say a little bit more about how did you find that courage?
Well, again, Dr. Tony, it kept coming back to, I am my priority. I was stressed out. I found myself stressed out, and I didn't really know exactly where it was coming from. But I found myself stressed because I was concerned about my son's well-being. They live with me. My son and my grandchildren lived with me for 2 years. And it was supposed to be very temporary, not 2 years. It was supposed to be temporary. And I found myself supporting him in ways where it was not benefiting him. I was supporting him. So therefore,
it wasn't benefiting him, and it wasn't healthy for you.
Right. It was not healthy for me, but it wasn't benefiting from him. I was often told that if Mama's boy was a definition, his picture would be right by it.
Oh, wow.
So it was that bad. It was that bad. So I had to make some tough love decisions and let him do what he needed to do so that he can support his own children. And it wasn't easy. I always ask my question, well, what if this? And what if he doesn't make it? And what if he can't do this? And then I'm going to have to let him come back. And I just went through that whole process of that. And yeah, I cried. I did. I felt bad. I did. But I had to inhale and exhale and say, he's going to be okay. And I knew he was going to be okay because of what I put in him, what his parents put in him. He was going to be just fine. It was going to be a little tough for him, and he's doing well. He's making
and I'm sure there are women listening to you that can identify all of us at some level have had to put some boundaries, and as our children grow up and become adults, let them become adults without us, holding on so tight. But there, the phenomenon of Black mothers and particularly raising grandchildren of our kids and things like that. That's a real phenomenon in our community. And a lot of times we've done it to our own peril and even to the detriment of our children by not allowing them to grow up and do the things that they need to do. But I'm sure, because I remember us having those conversations in your coaching sessions, and when you were struggling with how to set those healthy boundaries, I'm sure having a place to talk that out
absolutely
had to have helped you.
Absolutely. Again, having trusted conversations with you and being able to know that what was happening or what was being said was going to be between you and I, and even your advice, your guidance helped as well. And that is another area of success or support that I want to use the word support in the Harmonize Your Life Intentional Self-Care cohort. Having the support, the guidance that's needed, even when we talked about some things such as me having some emotional things that I needed to work out. And I learned again, everybody that's listening, that when you need a board of directors when you're having your self-care, right? So I needed to consult with my doctor, who was very instrumental in me with my weight loss and gaining some extra energy. So I needed therapy. So I have a therapist that I talk to on a regular basis. And then I have a coach as well that I talk to. So get you a board of directors so that you're not alone. Connect with women who are going on the same journey with you of self-care so that you are not alone. And it's so helpful. I've learned, and I feel better because I know that there are a group of people that if I need to say, hey, I just need to talk this out, or can you go walk with me? Can you talk with me? Whatever it is. Those people are there for me as a result of me being a part of the self-care network.
So you would say that being intentional about self-care helped you set those healthy boundaries.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And how is everybody doing? How's everybody doing?
Just fine. Everybody's doing just fine. Unbelievably, everybody is doing just fine and going to be okay.
And they probably was wondering after everybody get over the shock, right, of you setting boundaries, they probably like, what took you so long, right?
Exactly. Or probably said, I was wondering when I was okay in the first place. Yeah. Setting boundaries are good. It's okay to say no. And we know that no is a complete sentence. You say no, and that was one of the things that I learned with in my coaching sessions too. Say what it is that you mean what you say, and you don't have to explain why you're giving the answer that you're giving. You don't have to explain that. And I've learned that you can't change what you won't confront.
Oh, you heard that somewhere?
You can't change what you can't confront. Identify what it is. Then confront it.
Remember?
Yes.
Identify it, name it.
Yeah.
And
that's it.
Right.
This is what goes on in tea time, y'all. So get in with this network. Get in with the self-care network.
Oh my God. Oh my Lord. I tell you, it is. And it's a process. So here we are now at the end of the year. you've been going through this program. What have you learned about yourself in this process?
Wow. I've learned to be kind to myself, to give myself grace. Because, you know, we set goals, and my goal was a lofty goal, or is a lofty goal. And when you don't see it happening at the speed that you want it to happen, you have to either reset. And, you know, I did that many times. I had to reset. And then I had to just say, give yourself grace. I want to quote Dr. Talea, because she really, really helped me. This is in one of the podcasts that I listened to. She said, don't worry. Don't hurry. Trust the process. And I had to oftentimes inhale that. Don't hurry, but be consistent. Keep doing what you're doing. It's going to help. Little progress, nonetheless.
Start small. Remember, we talked about that?
Yes.
Starting where you are. Talk about where we started, where you started.
Yes, absolutely. You have to start where you are, and little progress is still progress, nonetheless. It's still progress. So giving myself grace, I started eating better. I learned in this cohort that weight loss starts in the kitchen. Prior to me joining the cohort, I had not cooked, and I don't know how long. I'd stopped cooking because we were empty nesters, and I just stopped cooking. We were eating out all the time. And I started back cooking in February. I started cooking, which made me start eating healthier, because I was eating a lot of processed food, fast food, always on the go, or just sometimes just not eating at all. So I've learned how to eat better. I'm still working on the type of diet, if you will, that I want. I think I like pescatarian. I eat a lot of fish and a lot of vegetables. So I've learned how to eat better. I've learned how to go to the grocery store and do my shopping. That was something that I did not do for a very long time prior to coming into the cohort. And I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself in that area. Now I'm back to cooking on a regular basis. I'm resting better. I've learned how to rest. And that has been in the making for a long time. I was going to bed late, but I still was getting up early. I still get up early, but I go to bed early. I mean, even just last night, I was asleep probably around 8 o'clock. And I woke up at 12:43 and thought it was the next day. I thought it was early morning. So yeah, I've learned how to get how to rest more, and I'm walking more consistently either. Now I'm gonna tell you, I've had some challenges with even walking and the exercise, because I injured myself early in the year. I had, Achilles tendonitis. So I had to do a couple of things. I had to do the therapy for that. I had to change and get me some good shoes. And I did that.
Talked about that because you were the shoe thing, and it was like, and people don't realize that, right? So people say, I want to walk or I want to run, but we haven't purchased the right equipment to be to walk or run without injuring ourselves, or that will help support whatever our needs are, whether it's knees or that plantar fasciitis is very, very, very serious. A lot of people deal with that. And so, so you learned, you in the program, you learned that you weren't even wearing proper shoes.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, we take so much for granted, because our feet, look, we need our feet, okay? We need our feet to carry us, to move. And if you're not wearing the proper shoes, you're going to feel it in your knees. You'll feel it in your back, even in your hips.
Everywhere.
You'll feel it when you're not wearing the proper shoes. And so even just recently, I committed to walking every day for the 30 days. So we set that goal for me last month. And I went to New Jersey a couple of weeks ago and injured my knee. So I was down for like 8 days where I couldn't even walk. But guess what? I didn't stop, y'all. I kept going. I started doing chair exercise. I turned a video on and did chair exercise because I still had to get some movement in. So I'm committed to that now.
Yeah, because movement is medicine.
Movement is medicine.
Movement is medicine. And if you might not be able to run, walk. If you can't walk, do like you said, do some chair exercises. Do something to move your body.
And let me tell you, chair exercise is a full body workout.
Oh, yes, it is.
It is a full body workout. So you still get what you need.
I'm so
I mean, get the cardio in, you get it all in. So absolutely. And so therefore
what you did was you said I didn't stop, and sometimes we do need to stop. So I want to acknowledge that stopping sometimes is necessary. But what you did was you pivoted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So it was more about you were able to pivot. Okay, I can't do this, but I can do this.
Yes.
Right. And you found what you can do to continue to meet your goal of moving.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's the important thing.
Because at the end of the day, for me, the goal is to be a healthier me. To be a healthier me. I've lost 20 pounds in the journey. I have, and and that is, I mean, I feel like I'm doing well. I'm much better than I was when I started, obviously.
Yeah.
I still have a little bit more to go. And I'm okay with that because I started beating myself up about, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. And you know what? If I don't make it, it's okay. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep shedding the pounds, and I'm going to keep doing what I need to do to be a healthier me. I have a long way to go. I asked the Lord to help me live till I was 100 or more. There's long life in my family. I just visited my grandmother who turned 94 years old. So I'm looking forward to the journey, but I don't want to be broke down.
Exactly.
At 94.
It's not long life we want quality of life, because you can live long and be hooked up to machines and down and can't travel and just miserable. But we want quality. And I love what you said, because I know we set, January is usually, people are always setting these goals at the beginning of the year. January, everybody got their New Year's resolution. We're going to lose 20 pounds, 30 pounds, whatever. And then we get to the middle of the year and it's like, oh my God, I gotta, and then we go on these binges and try to kill ourselves. But what I love is that what you learned in this cohort was to enjoy the journey.
Yes.
And to just keep moving, even at whatever pace was necessary for you, because you had some times where you had to stop.
Yeah.
You had to stop and acknowledge some things. I think you moved in that time.
Yes.
So there's some things going on there that you were trying to get straightened out. And of course, the situation with your son, you were working that out, and your grandchildren, you got them all settled and all that. So all of this happened with it because life's. Right?
Exactly.
Life was happening the whole time. Nothing just waited on you to, nothing was just going to stop just because you entered into this program.
Right. I wasn't walking through a field of roses.
No.
I had to ask myself some really hard questions, make some tough decisions. And again, from the podcast, ladies and gentlemen that may be watching, I heard Robin May say, who was I before life started happening? And that spoke to me so profoundly, because not that I want to go back, but I remember when. I remember when I was very vibrant. I remember how active I was. And I don't mean active as in doing things. I'm just saying having the ability to move freely and be able to move with energy and just be lifelike. So I remember those things. And so I asked myself these hard questions. Where are you going? What are you doing? And why do you want to do this? Why? How is this going to benefit you?
Yeah. And you know what else? I think that one of the things that I want to bring out as we begin to wrap up, I want to bring out this one thing that we talked about in your session. Also, we talked about how self-care also serves the call of God on your life. You're in ministry, right?
Yes.
And we talked about that because a lot of times we don't see and we don't appraise how important our health and our wellness is to facilitating the call of God on our lives. And I know you have a passion for ministry and empowering women and preaching and teaching and all of that. But we talked about the fact that you can't do those things if you're broke down.
And your body will let you know. And so again, let me tell you something, y'all. If you're not connected to Harmonize Your Life podcast, you ought to. I was listening to Dr. Brown, Danielle Brown, and she talked about self-care in ministry. And she talked about how, excuse me, how you have to be in shape to be able to preach for 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And she talked about how she clocked herself, or I think it was how many calories or something like that she was burning just within that 30 minutes. And you have to have some kind of stamina, some kind of energy, you have to work out in order just to speak. And those little things like that, and not little things, but we take those things for granted. Yeah. But you have to have some kind of fuel, if you will. Exactly. And that's what keeping busy and moving does for you. It gives you the fuel and the energy that you need to do the work that you do, whether it be ministry or any other thing, any other vocation. But,
and it's not always about weight loss and how much we weigh, because you could weigh little and still not have energy, right?
Yeah.
As we talked about having our A1C level together, our blood pressure, our cholesterol levels, and all the women coming into the program. I asked you all to get those numbers from your doctor. I'm not a medical doctor. And so I ask everyone to make sure that they're seeing their medical doctor, that they're keeping their medical appointments up. And then I ask you all to report back to me what your doctors are saying to you so that we can work on strategies for whatever it is, goals you're working on, or maybe, so I want to make sure people understand when they're coming into the program, we say, well, this is Dr. Tony. I'm not a medical doctor. I am a doctor of ministry, and I am a certified life coach and a certified health and wellness coach, certified leadership and life coach, and certified health and wellness coach. And so my role is to support all those other people on your board of directors. And we talk about that, your medical doctor, your therapist, your accountant, financial life is important. We talked about that too. In the program, we talk about how we're looking, what's our financial picture looking like. And as we get older, that's even more and more important, because one thing my financial planner says is nothing worse than dying young than outliving your money.
Yes.
Right? And so we talk about that, the whole aspect, the whole gamut, and the people that are in our lives that help us with those, to stay true to what God has called us to do. I mean, to stay true to accomplishing our goals, our self-care, our health, and our wellness goals. And so I'm just so excited about the progress that you have made in this program.
Yes, I'm reminded of the term or the strategies that we use, or once upon a time, that it takes a village. It takes a village to help you walk this journey. Whenever you've made a decision, and that's important, that you make a decision. You make a decision. And once you make that decision, and even if it's not a decision that you verbalize or written, that's still making a decision.
Yeah, we have to make those decisions. And I appreciate the fact that you made a decision. You chose you.
Yes.
You chose you. And you chose to be a part of the Harmonize Your Life intentional self-care program for this year. I have watched you just soar and grow. And I mean, you and consistent. You every month you're in the meetings. Every month you're and they can tell you listen to the podcast. You done quoted at least of the podcast guests since in our conversation today. So I can always count on it. As soon as it opens, I know I think you might be one of the first listeners. You and I got another listener who's very faithful in California, Sherry Dimser, listens regularly, and you all listen to the podcast regularly, and you have engaged this network on so many levels. And so I appreciate you being in the Harmonize Your Life intentional self in the network in general. But I really appreciate the fact that you went a step further this year and did the program, the intentional self-care program. So I'm going to do a little bit of a little station identification and a little commercial for a minute, and then I want you to give us your final thoughts and words. But I want to let everybody know that's watching or listening, that you're listening to or watching on YouTube, the Harmonize Your Life Conversations on Self-Care for Women of Color podcast. You can find us on Spotify and on YouTube. And I would like to encourage as many of you to please go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. It does not cost you anything to subscribe to the YouTube channel. What you do when you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you are the more followers that we have on the YouTube channel, it allows our us to go up in the analytics. Google and YouTube, Google owns YouTube or YouTube owns Google or whatever. They're connected. And so when people go and they Google self-care, health, wellness, Black women, women in leadership, fitness, finances, whatever, this podcast will come up because of the content that we cover in this podcast. And you can help us grow and be found by others who are looking for this type of information, inspiration for self-care, health, wellness, fitness, all things self-care. So I invite you to go there if you're not already a subscriber. If you would do that, it doesn't take but a second to click the subscribe button. Do that and then share these podcast conversations with others in your community, in your family, on your job. Listen, people need these type of conversations because I believe these conversations, and I've heard several say to me that these conversations are changing lives. They are changing, and you never know, this will literally someone may listen to one of these episodes and it can literally make the difference between life and death for someone. And so I appreciate all of you who have done so, and I'm encouraging others to join us on the YouTube channel. Also, I want to let you know that that you can also go to my website at drtonyalvarado.com. Women, you can join the Harmonize Your Life Women's Self-Care Network. Do so on my website at drtonyalvarado.com. When you join the network, you get opportunity to come into Tea Time with Dr. Tony once a month. And there are other things that we do with the network as I'm doing retreats and things. You may get discounts, and there are different things that happen when you are a part of the network of the Harmonize Your Life Women's Self-Care Network. So go to my website at drtonyalvarado.com, hit Self-Care Network, and join there. It's real simple. You can join at $5 a month or $10 a month, $25 a month, whatever level you'd like to join. It helps us to facilitate this work, and it gives you access to me and the network as you do so. Okay. Also, if you're interested, I want you to know that you can also this month the intentional self-care program that you've heard Desiree talking about the benefits of going a step further and doing the HYL intentional self-care program. The application for the program is open. It is live now. We opened it on November 1st, and we want to make sure that those who are wanting to be a part of cohort 2025 have the opportunity to apply, and I will respond to you, meet with you via Zoom, and do more like a conversation, a coaching conversation with you, and get you started as a member of the 2025 cohort. We got some new things that we're going to actually be doing next year with the cohort, and so I'm excited. As we grow, as God expands this, the vision for this program, I want you to take advantage of it and be a part of what God is doing with us through the intentional self-care program. All right. So do those things. Also, listen, you see I'm rocking my Harmony sweatshirt today. We also have Harmony Fitness apparel on my website. We have dry fit t-shirts, fitness pants, yoga pants that you can work out in or just relax in or wear around the house. We have bling t-shirts, self-care t-shirts with different messages to remind you about self-care. And we have hoodies and sweatshirts. It's hoodie season, it's sweatshirt season. And so you can go there and order those things. Christmas is coming up. You may want to order one for you and order a present for someone else during this season. So go to my website at drtonyalvarado.com. Email me at hello@drtonyalvarado.com. If you're interested in the intentional self-care program, email me at hello@drtonyalvarado.com. Visit my website where you can join the network. You can purchase your Harmony Fitness apparel, and you can also subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast there as well. Now, I will also want to let you know how to find our guest, Desireé Young, who is our guest on today. You can follow her on Facebook at Desireé Young. You can also follow her. Let me pull it down. Desiree, you're on Instagram too, right, Desiree?
Yes, and I am Desireé Young. Yes.
And I am Desireé Young. I'm trying to get that banner to show on there we go. Scroll down. There we go. All right. So we have you're at YouTube, and you are also on Instagram at I am Desireé Young. So follow Desiree on Facebook at Desireé Young, and you can also follow her on Instagram, on IG at I am Desireé Young. She's doing some wonderful things. Just had a wonderful conference, and I know she'll be doing her conference again next year or something. Something like that. But yes, get her books. Where can I get your book, Desi?
You can get my book at bit.ly/90 I am.
bit.ly/bit.ly. bit.ly.
Yes. /90 I am in all caps.
All right.
And the image bearer will be available soon for pre-order, because it will be available for Christmas.
Okay, I'm going to put this up. Is that right?
It's B-I-T.
Oh,
yeah, B-H-I-T.
Let me fix that. bit.ly/90 I am.
That is it.
All right, it's up there. It's up there. You can go there and get her books, get her journal and the affirmations. I'm telling you, it will be a blessing in your life. And so I'm excited to be able to promote her and the work that she is doing as well.
Thank you so much.
All right, Desiree, just as you are preparing to leave, what would be your last words of encouragement to a woman who is looking to either do intentional self-care, or someone who's listening to this podcast? What instruction or wisdom, last minute wisdom, would you like to share?
Well, the last thing I'd like to share is make a decision. I've said that several times. Make a decision and get started. Get started by getting you some accountability partners. Well, get started, first of all, by going to Dr. Tony's website and completing the application. But get started. The hardest part of getting started is taking the first step, right? So the first step is to go and complete the application. Make a decision and commit that you are a priority to yourself, that you want to become a better version of yourself, because perhaps what you've been doing has not been working. So getting together with some like-minded women and a group of people who are going to hold you accountable is a part of your success. So you want to make sure that you are going to do that. And just, again, at the end of the day, give yourself grace. be kind to yourself, because you can do this. You can do this. You make up your mind. You make a decision. The Bible says, let me end it like that. If you decree a thing, God says he will establish it and shine his light on it. So decree and make a decision that I want to be a better self. I want to be a better me, a better version of myself. And I'm going to intentionally take care of myself, because self-care is the best care.
Wow. Oh my God. That's wonderful. Make a decision and take care of yourself. Choose you. I love that.
Choose you.
That. Choose you. All right, everyone. Well, we're getting ready to sign off right here. I'm so grateful. Thank you again, Desiree.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being such a dynamic dialogue partner. Thank you for doing the intentional self-care program. I'm so proud of you, and I can't wait to see where we go from here. Okay. All right, everybody. I'll see you on the next episode of Harmonize Your Life, Conversations on Self-Care for Women of Color podcast with your host, Dr. Tony G. Alvarado. See you soon.
Bye.